What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got some football focus. My football videos have been getting a nice bit of feedback recently, doing Steeler reviews and previews, so I wanted to do a brief, quick preview on Week 2's game of the Steelers in their home opener against the Kansas City Chiefs. This coming Sunday at 1 o'clock p.m. Pittsburgh needs to get that big win, the first win of the season. We tied last week. Kansas City is 1-0. They beat the Chargers in a high-scoring kind of a shootout. Kansas City's got a lot of hype around them right now. Pat Mahomes, everyone's been calling him the second coming since like last year. They were saying that he should have been the starter over Alex Smith in the past, and now he's finally the incumbent. He's finally got the reins. He looked very good in his debut. This is going to be a tough game for us. We tend to own the Chiefs. I think we've won our last 6 games against Kansas City, including the last playoff game against Kansas City. So Pittsburgh tends to do very well against KC overall. But KC is an evolved team. They're looking pretty good so far. They look good in their Week 1 game against the Chargers. And this is going to be a tough one for us. There are a lot of... Pittsburgh has to bounce back. Ben's been getting a lot of flack all week for the 5 turnovers. Le'Veon Bell's been getting flack for not being there. There's talk of some injuries on the Pittsburgh side, so Pittsburgh needs to come off with this win, especially considering the Bengals are now 2-0 after winning last night against Baltimore, so they're undefeated, so we have to come strong and get that first win out of the way. Quickly, looking at Kansas City, again, Pat Mahomes last week, I think he threw for like 260 yards about. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Looked very good out there against the Chargers. The Chargers D is not great. It's a very average defense. But Pat Mahomes in his first start showed no signs of pressure. He looked very good in the pocket. He was spry on his feet. He moved around well. Again, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Spread the ball around. They have plenty of weapons in KC. There's lots of dangerous athletes in KC. DeAnthony Thomas is one to watch for coming out of the slot and doing some end arounds, some little pitch plays, some runs, some special team stuff. DeAnthony Thomas is fun to watch. Obviously, the number 1 target in KC is Tyreek Hill. He had a huge week last week. I think he had about 160 yards, 2 touchdowns receiving, and a touchdown kick returning. So 3 scores and over 150 yards last week, plus return yardage. So he was a game breaker last week, made a lot of plays downfield, looked very good on the deep ball. He's extremely quick. He's dangerous in returns, running the ball, receiving the ball. He is their game breaker player. He's the guy we have to watch out for. And with Pittsburgh injury talk surrounding our number 1 cornerback, Joe Hayden, that could be trouble for us. Also, Sammy Watkins, their new receiver addition. He's the number 2 receiver on the team, veteran from Buffalo. He's had several good years in Buffalo and in Los Angeles. I like him a lot. He's a good number 2, good ball control guy. He can make plays downfield as well. He's going to give our cornerbacks, which have not always been great, some trouble as well. Covering tight ends has not been our strength. Travis Kelce is their tight end. He is one of the top maybe 5 tight ends in the NFL. He's a great pass catcher. He's a good athlete across the middle. He's physical across the middle. He can take hits. He's going to be tough to cover. He only had, I think, 1 catch for 6 yards last week. He did not do anything. Showed signs of slowing down in San Diego. But I think he's due for a bounce-back week, so that's going to be trouble for us as well. That's the ownage to cover him is going to fall on either John Bostic in the middle, or it's going to fall on safety Sean Davis, who usually covers the big tight ends. So some tough matchups for us this week. I think our offense is better than their offense, and I think our defense is better than their defense. But again, covering Tyreek Hill downfield, especially if Joe Hayden does not play. Covering Sammy Watkins with either Artie Burns or Mike Hilton, that's going to be tough. Covering Travis Kelce with our middle linebackers and with Sean Davis, that could be tough. On the plus side for us, Eric Berry is the Kansas City Chiefs' number 1 player, their safety on defense. He has not practiced all week. As of this recording, he hasn't practiced for the Chiefs. Good chances he will not play. He's their headhunter. He's their best cover guy. He's their most physical heart and soul on defense, so that could be big for us. Last week against the Chargers, the Chiefs did not look good on defense at all. Gave up 28 points, 418 yards passing, 541 total yards to the Chargers. So the Chiefs' defense is not looking great this year. So I can see a shootout game here for the Steelers. We have a lot of great guys on offense. Ben is going to be having a chip on his shoulder looking to improve. Connor is going to want to come out, getting his second start and showing the world that that was not a fluke last week. even though I think the Chargers only ran for like 130 yards last week, didn't do a lot of running. But we're going to have a chip on our shoulder on offense. We're going to want to protect the ball and slow down penalties on offense. And the Chiefs on defense have many holes, and their best player is probably not playing. So I can see this being a high-scoring game. Again, as far as injuries, Big Ben has been on the injury list this week. I think he's still going to play. People have talked about Josh Dobbs playing. I think Ben's going to come in there and play, especially after his bad game last week. He's going to want to play hard. Biggest thing on defense, again, Joe Hayden. If he doesn't play, Artie Burns is the number 1 cornerback. Mike Hilton's the number 2. I think they'll probably play Sensabaugh on the outside, keep Mike Hilton on the inside. Either way, matchup problems for us. Joe Hayden being out would be a big, big loss for us because Artie Burns does not look good at the number 2 and certainly does not look good at the number 1, especially against the downfield threat. He holds a lot downfield. He's had a lot of penalties and a lot of problems holding faster guys, and Tyreek Hill is one of the fastest players in the entire NFL. So that's going to be a problem for us. And again, Kansas City, Pat Mahomes has looked good. They haven't turned the ball over. Kareem Hunt did not really play that well last week. I think he had 4.1 yards a carry, but limited carries. I think maybe had 40, 50 yards last week. I didn't write that stat down, but Kareem Hunt is back fresh off injury. He's trying to get his legs back. He's looking for a bounce-back game, and he's a hard-nosed runner, and we have problems tackling in the middle of the field. So we'll see if we can stop them. I see this again on both sides, with two teams having things to prove and looking strong so far on offense. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. And thankfully this week we seem to have one of our weapons back. It looks as if we're going to get Vance McDonald back. He's limited practice. I think Jesse might still get the start and Vance might get to play in spots, but he's another downfield weapon. He's another kind of like Travis Kelce, a strong, good-handed middle-of-the-field option and a good red zone option. So that'll give Ben another target. And I think James Washington is going to play more this week. I think he's ready to step in that slot role. We had Justin Hunter playing the third receiver this past week. I think James Washington is ready to come in there, and I think he'll surprise some guys. KC's coverage is not the best, and I think James could exploit that down the field. So if I had to make a prediction, I didn't write down a score, but I'll give you guys my score prediction here. Even though I would have been wrong last week, I didn't do a video for the Browns game. I would have picked Pittsburgh to beat the Browns. I think most of us here in Pittsburgh would have. We would have been wrong. We tied. But I think Pittsburgh is going to get the bounce-back win, even with some injuries, even with KC looking strong last week. I say Pittsburgh gets the win, and I'm going to call this game 31-24. I say Pittsburgh 31, KC 24. Pittsburgh goes to 1-0-1. KC falls to 1-1. I think this is a fun offensive game with two solid teams, and you might see this matchup in the playoffs because I think KC is for real, and I think Pittsburgh is going to get it together. So 31-24 is my score. What do you guys think of that prediction? What do you guys think of the call-outs? Who do you think shows up this week? Who do you think has a big game this week? I think that the receivers in Pittsburgh, Antonio, Juju, maybe James, Jesse James, and a couple other guys like that step up big time this week. So who do you guys think shows up for Pittsburgh? Who do you think is the one to watch in KC? Tell me in the comments down below, and I will give you guys a review this coming Sunday after the game. Check back on my channel Sunday afternoon, maybe 5 or 6 p.m. I will post the Steelers review of the Steelers-KC game, hopefully with a win. Go Steelers. I will see y'all soon. Thank you.